Okay, I'm joined by Professor Linda Woodhead, the F.D. Morris Chair in Social and Moral Theology at King's College London, and a co-investigator with the Non-Religion in a Complex Future project. So, Linda, there's new census data on religion from England and Wales that has just been released. What are the major takeaways from this data?
The thing that got most attention is that the percentage saying that they are Christian in England and Wales has now fallen to under half of the population. This is a broad question on the census. It says, what's your religion? So do you have a religion? So it's not about attendance, it's about belonging and identification really, rather than membership or attendance. So the number who attend churches is far, far lower than that. But the fall to become a minority is obviously a very, very significant change, given that Britain has been a Christian country for so long. That's the big takeaway. And the proportion saying they have no religion has risen proportionately. So it's very closely tied to the numbers declining on Christian. Finally, the numbers saying that they belong to a non-Christian religion have been going up really rapidly. So Muslim, Hindu, Sikh, but also other kinds of religion that you can write in. And of those, the biggest is paganism and its varieties like Wicca and shamanism and so on.
Right. Oh, that's fascinating. Well, I wanted to ask about this particular category of no religion, or the people who check no religion. And do we know anything more about this sort of breakdown of people in that category? Like, are there about people who maybe identify as atheists or humanists or just sort of non-affiliated in general?
Yeah, we do. I've done a lot of research on that using other surveys, and they're very, very diverse. You can't generalize about the non-religious. So some are atheists, that's a minority of them. More are agnostic, and that's got whole shades from pretty certain there is no God to not sure, just don't know, can we know? And then there are also another subcategory of non-religion are those who do pray or meditate or have some belief in God or do something spiritual. So it covers that whole range. The one thing they have in common is they don't want to identify with one of the world religions or a label of religion.
Right. Another question I had is, well, in Canada, we just had our own census data release. And one of the interesting things from that is we saw, like the number of people identifying with a particular Christian denomination was declining. We actually saw a rise in the number of sort of generic Christians. And I wonder if we're seeing the same thing happening in the UK.
Do you have, is the question very similar? Like, do you have a religion? Or how is it worded in Canada?
I think it's the same, that it's what is your religion, if any. I could be wrong, but I think it's similar. Yeah.
Yeah. Our census doesn't actually ask, because it only says the only options are Christian, Hindu, Buddhist, none. So it doesn't ask about denomination. Actually, Scotland has a separate census, and they do, but the results haven't come out yet. So I'd have to go back to other surveys, and there is a rise in the proportion who just identify with Christian, like non-denominational Christian, but it's still pretty small. So most of those in England and Wales who say they're Christian are either Church of England or Roman Catholic, with a small number of other free churches, Protestant churches, and a few non-denominational Christians, but not as many. But the census, yes, everyone ticking that box is ticking a box called Christian.
Okay, that's really interesting. I think in Canada you write in an answer. I don't think it's you check in a particular box. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
One final question I have is whether there's any kind of regional trends that you're noticing.
There is regional variation, quite significantly so. So Christian is lower in London, but London is more religious. It's got more of non-Christian religions. Christian tends to be higher in rural areas, but not all of them. And that's Church of England, because it's the traditional community religion in rural areas. Wales is the most secular part of the UK. Wales is sort of almost a decade ahead in terms of the growth of no religion. And that's interesting because Wales was once known for, really vigorous Protestant chapel-based early Pentecostal religion, but it's also the fastest declining.
All right. Well, thanks again, Linda,
My pleasure. My pleasure.
for joining us.